everybody, so we are back. So sorry if you were having technical difficulties just watching us. We're going to start again. So hello, I'm Sam and I'm the Graduate Recruitment Manager at Shoosmiths, and today we are talking about legal work experience. I'm joined by Jess and Alex, who are both on a 1-week placement with us this summer, and they are going to share their experience with you about how they came through the recruitment process and what the first couple of days of their placement has been like. I'm going to go through the placement process so you can understand how it will work for you if you want to apply as well. So we are filming in Milton Keynes today, so just type into the comments to let us know where you're watching us from. We always like to ask you a question and know a bit about our viewers as well. So to get us started then, Jess, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Jess. I've just finished my last year at the University of Warwick, and I've been studying economics and politics there, so I'm really excited to be spending a week at Shoosmiths where I can actually learn a bit more about law.
Thank you. And Alex?
So, hi, my name's Alex. I graduated from the University of Southampton last year. I studied law. Since then, I've just been working as a paralegal where I live in civil litigation and clinical negligence as well. And I'm also really excited to be here at Shoosmiths for the week at Milton Keynes.
Perfect, thank you both. So a little bit about our summer vacation placement process then. If you are thinking about applying, then our application form will open at the beginning of December 2019, and the deadline is the 28th of February 2020, and that is for a 1-week summer placement taking place in summer 2020. So I know a couple of people asked me what's the eligibility criteria to apply, and it's the same to apply, same as the eligibility criteria for a training contract. So you need to be in a 2nd or 3rd year law student or a graduate, or a 3rd year non-law student or a graduate at the time that you submit your application form. There is some more details about that on our website, or you can ask us a question and tell us what stage you're at, and we'll be able to let you know if you're at the right stage. So once you've applied, you fill in an application form, and then if you're successful at that stage and meet our minimum criteria, then you will progress to the next stage of the process, which is a video interview. Now, this is the first year we've introduced video interviews, so I'm really keen to hear from you guys how you found that experience. So Jess, tell us a little bit about how you found the video interview.
So I was a little bit daunted when I first saw there was a video interview, just because I do much prefer personal contact and face-to-face interviews, but actually the way that you're led through the video interview process is really nice. There's little tutorials explaining everything, and actually it made it an okay, fine, good experience. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. And Alex, what about you? How did you find the video?
So with the video interview process, I agree with Jess that it was really easy to kind of navigate around, and you can benefit from notes on the side, which you wouldn't be able to do that in an interview. But I also found that particular answers to the questions I gave were not that strong, and I found that on the particular day I didn't feel as though I performed as well as I could have done, and I sometimes felt that sort of face to face I would be stronger. However, sort of it was easy to use, and so mixed feelings on that, I think. Yeah.
So from the video interview then, you either get a response to say that you've been successful onto the next stage, and therefore you're getting a VAC scheme offer, that you're on the reserve list, or you've been unsuccessful. And for both of you guys, you reached our reserve list. So how did that feel, Alex, when you got the email to say that you hadn't quite made it?
So when I got the email, I was obviously very disappointed, and sort of just closed the email, wasn't expecting to hear anything back, and then sort of several weeks later was notified that a place had become available in Milton Keynes office. Would I like to attend? Of course I replied definitely. I was able to get the week off sort of by rearranging things, which was great. So confirmed my place, and sort of less than a week later I'm here working in the corporate team for a week, so I was very happy to be accepted in the end.
Yeah, so that's really tough because there is a reserve list, and it does, especially when you get that email to say like you've nearly made it, but you haven't quite made it. It's awful, isn't it? It's like when you get grades and scores through your education, when you can see you're just maybe 1 mark off, and it doesn't help the situation, I don't think, to know that. But I'm so glad that you could both be here following that. And I think that's a great message for viewers to know that actually the reserve list is there, that you still do have a chance of getting through. It's not just kind of lip service to you. So, so really pleased to have you both here. So then tell us a little bit, Jess, how you prepared for the VAC scheme.
So I think first thing I did was obviously I responded and said I was delighted to attend the week. And then I contacted the team that I would be joining to see if there was anything that they wanted me to do in preparation. They said, no, enjoy your weekend, really nice.
Yeah.
But I did have a little look, basically what they do, and kind of the sort of tasks that I could be doing. And there are actually quite a few sort of blogs online from past work experience students, giving you a bit of an idea of what you might be doing, which is quite useful.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to take this moment just to butt in and say that any of the things that we talk about, we will share the links to. So the careers blog, where you can read about past work experience, we will share the link to that at the bottom of the video. This is also a good time to mention, if you've got a friend or a colleague that you think would benefit from watching this video, then tag them in the comments now or invite them to watch this video. There's still time for them to jump on and ask their own questions. And of course, you can type comments into the questions box at any time, and we will get to those. So Alex, you've joined the corporate team this week, and thank you so much for both of you being able to attend at such short notice, especially if you're working, you've been able to get that time off, really understanding employers. But tell us, how did you prepare for the week? So we do share the host's email address with you in case you want to get in contact with them beforehand.
Yeah, so I think we both emailed our host to find out if there's anything we could sort of catch up on or read up on to make the week easier. So I did that, and I was just advised by my host to sort of research the team, which I did. Then I looked at the bios of the members of the team, the different partners that would be in the department, and then any recent deals that they've been working on, or recent cases or large clients. So I had sort of a general look at the corporate team, and then specifically at the Milton Keynes office. So I think that kind of prepared me really well for the week in terms of the introduction, especially yesterday, because I was kind of aware of who people were and the kind of work that the corporate team does.
I think that's fantastic advice. I think some people would really worry about what work they need to be reading into, or getting all the corporate law books back out to go through. And you're not expected to know it all when you come in. This is an experience for you to learn a bit more about the people, the firm, the values, the work, the culture, and find out if it's the right place for you and if you enjoy it. So I think it's much more about those familiar feelings that you get. So if you can research people and cases like that before you come, I think that's great. My colleague Amy, who works in the graduate recruitment team, she manages most of our summer placement candidates and the process while you're with us. So she will have emailed you on Friday to just welcome you to kind of the office ready for Monday, and let you know that we're a point of contact if you need anything. And then she will have been back in touch with you yesterday morning. So tell me a little bit about the email that you received from graduate recruitment. Jess?
Is this the one from yesterday?
Yeah.
So yesterday we got a really nice welcome email from grad recruitment, just to check that everything was going okay, and basically we had things to do. And within this email we got set a mini assignment and a project to complete over the week. Really clear instructions, and actually for me, I'm really excited to get stuck into this project because both of them are sort of more, one of them's a business development project, kind of showing your commercial awareness side, and also it means that I don't need to know loads about law, which obviously I don't know loads about law. So yeah, really useful.
And Alex, what about, have you been able to take time to look at that project yet?
Yes, I have. So I think that's really good with the projects, like Jess said, that I don't have any kind of corporate law experience at all, but that's fine, because even though I didn't study corporate law as a module at university, it's kind of the tasks that we've been set that we can work on as well. So I have looked at the project. It's a business development project mainly, so you don't need any specific legal knowledge, but it involves a presentation of around 15 minutes, I believe, and also various other tasks, so a launch of a project that you're going to be doing for a new area of growth, so a new area of law or department that you wish to grow within your office. So that consists of a presentation, a launch day, and then also kind of branding, social media and things like that. So we've been working on it gradually, and it's sort of due in for Thursday.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to note, as you've said actually, that it's not really about the legal side. This particular project, it's something that any candidate could do, no matter what background that they came from. And that's been an important thing for us to see in candidates on the summer placement, is that you're able to demonstrate those business development skills, commercial awareness, and think about what the client would really want out of a law firm. So if you are stepping into a law firm to complete some work experience, then really think about how that law firm markets itself to clients, and what services it provides, and what the client actually wants from a law firm. It's not all just about the legal advice, but that is important too. So, and that's really what you're going to get out of the kind of the real work and the real exposure that you get on a day-to-day basis through this week. So, Jess, do you want to tell me a little bit about anything you've been doing with your team, but don't break any confidentiality rules?
Okay. So I've had quite a few tasks handed to me from various people in the team. I've had one from my trainee buddy, a few pieces of work from partners, which has been really cool because I've actually been interacting and asking partners questions. But they've actually been quite a variety of tasks. So I've had some research work, looking up the work of other law firms, and then on top of that, I've also been putting together a chronology of events for a particular case, and that's been really interesting, just sort of learning everything that goes into a case as well. And then I have a few more tasks that I need to have a look at.
Yeah, and it's only Tuesday morning, so it sounds like you've got loads already. Alex, what about you?
So I've been sort of working on general deal work. Yesterday, some sort of admin duties, scanning, photocopying, but also research. So research for the new case that we've currently instructed on, that my host is instructed on. And there is some kind of like due diligence stuff as well, which is really interesting because, as I said, I haven't had any corporate law experience before, but it's been really kind of refreshing to experience another practice area that I wouldn't have I wouldn't have considered it before. So kind of general deal work, some due diligence stuff, and some drafting. This morning I've started some drafting, which has been exciting. Yeah.
So corporate is always seen as the really long hours kind of department where everybody's always really busy. How have you found that? I mean, obviously you've only seen yesterday and today, but is it a busy team that you're in?
It is quite busy actually. So I did stay right to the end yesterday, but everyone's really approachable and it hasn't been as busy today. So I think it goes up and down. When it's really busy, it is busy, but then there are some days where it's kind of less busy. But definitely my preconceptions about corporate were all wrong. So everyone's really approachable, everyone's lovely and friendly. I feel like I can sort of ask anyone a question at any time. And I'm sure that goes for every department here, but especially with the corporate team, definitely. As you said, it has the wrong stereotype, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing about kind of the projects that you're set and the assignments that you're set from graduate recruitment, but also what you'll be encouraged to do from your own teams, is to raise your own brand profile through the week. And that's part of what I think is great about you guys being here with me on the video today, is that you can share this video afterwards if you wish, and it will raise your own profile for your own career. And it also gives you the opportunity to do something that's maybe outside of your comfort zone, something new or different. And I think that's what this week experience is all about, saying yes to opportunities and putting yourself out there. So tell me tell me some things that you're planning to get out of this week for yourself.
Start?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay.
Sure.
So I think things that I really want to get out of this week for myself, one of the first things is I really want to build strong relationships with the people that I've been working in the firm with, and I think I've really done that so far. I've been put in a really lovely, friendly team, like I'm sure actually all teams are at Shoosmiths, but just because I think it's so good for sort of future working relationships, and also it's meant that this week I think it already has been and will continue to be a really enjoyable experience, and then also I'm really enjoying the variety of work that I'm doing, because that's really confirming to me that law is something that I want to pursue.
Okay, fantastic.
So I want to, this week, kind of build on my experience at the Insight Evening. So I was able to see a bit of the office at the Insight Evening, but being able to work there for a whole week is really great. Find out more about the culture of the firm by speaking to more people that weren't at the Insight Evening. Find out kind of practice areas, different practice areas of the office, and also the real work that the corporate team does on a day-to-day basis. So I think all of those things are unique to what the summer placement scheme provides, that the Insight Evening or research won't able to, wouldn't it be able to give you, sorry. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
I can experience that for a week.
So I'll just touch on a little bit about the process, I guess, for you guys from now, what happens from now. So you're on Tuesday, second day of your placement. You've already mentioned you've got your presentation on Thursday. So that's where you're going to invite a member of HR, the training principal for the office, your supervisor and probably trainee buddy along to watch that presentation, to see how much you've absorbed and learned through the week. And then you'll get a chance to sit down and talk to a supervisor or HR to talk about your experience and talk about whether you think it's the right fit for you and where you go from there. Lots of summer vacation weeks have an assessment day right at the end where you're then assessed for a training contract, and we don't do it like that. So the way it works is that on Friday you'll finish and you'll submit all your documents over to us, and then we will let you know as soon as possible whether you progress to the next stage, which is the assessment centre for a training contract. And at that assessment centre, you're then assessed against our criteria for the role of a trainee solicitor. But the other candidates on the assessment centre are other VAT schemers that have reached that stage, people that have applied direct for a training contract, and also there may be some internal applicants there as well. So everybody's being assessed in the same way across the same assessment centre, and we think that's really important. So that's at the end of June that takes place, so fingers crossed you guys, we'll see you there. No pressure. I have got some more questions, and some questions have come in from Instagram, so let's pop over and see what we've got on there. If anybody would like to ask a question, just type it into the comments and we'll get to that very, very shortly. So it's only day 2, but what are you enjoying most about the placement? So Jess?
I think maybe 2 things I'm enjoying most about the placement. First of all, I'm really just enjoying the team I'm in. As I've already said, really lovely team, and getting to know them has just been great. It means that I can really get a lot out of the work that I've been doing and also just have a really enjoyable experience, but kind of going off on that, also just learning the culture of the firm more generally, because I think it is such a lovely firm to work for. So yeah. Okay,
thank you. And Alex, what are you enjoying?
I'm enjoying the people, sort of speaking with the different people and seeing how friendly they are, talking to them about their work. And secondly, I'm enjoying the work I'm doing itself, so finding out more about a new area of law, because I understand sort of as a trainee you have to be flexible. If you're given a seat that wouldn't necessarily be your first choice, there's not always the opportunity to do the seat that you want. So I think that being flexible and being open-minded to a new area of law, like how I have been this week, has been really good, because actually it's been great so far, and it's been really good to experience.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so somebody has asked the question, share one thing you've learnt so far. So Alex, over to you.
I've learned about due diligence, so on corporate law deals, how they have to always do due diligence procedures, and a little bit of what that involves. in terms of documents, correspondence. So I would say one thing I've learned specifically is that, but also more generally about corporate law in a real world environment.
Okay, yeah. And Jess, one thing you've learned?
I think I've learned sort of how agile the firm is as a working environment. I think there's quite a big emphasis on it at Shoosmiths. It seems sort of every day there might be new people, different people from other offices coming in. And I think Shoosmiths as a firm gives you a lot of flexibility in the way you work, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's something a lot of businesses talk about, but you don't really know until you get in and see how it actually works for that business. Yeah, great, thank you. So let's move on and see if anybody has asked us a question. Yeah, we've got some questions come in here. This is amazing. Thanks, Amy Towers. She said that the connection is much better this time. Good. Sorry about that before. So we've got people watching from Nottingham, Derby, Norwich, London, Trinidad and Tobago. That I think that wins the award for most exotic place on this list. So let's see. Oh, it's all locations. So somebody, Loretti has asked, is winter open? So I'm guessing you mean, is our winter application open? So we don't run a winter placement. We only run one placement a year, and that's our summer placement, which is taking place now. So they're the deadlines to apply for that, or the application opens in December, and the deadline is the end of February. Let's see. So Maya has asked, did you get a choice in which department you wanted to experience?
So I think that you do generally get a choice, but specifically for me, because we were on the reserve list, it was kind of where space allows. For me, I didn't have a choice, but if I would have been successful, I would have done, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
in the
right.
first
So
place,
yeah, so if you are, if you're successful after the video interview, then when you're made the offer of a VAC scheme, you are asked to put forward a preference for department, and then based on everybody that comes back for that office, we then try and match those preferences. But because in both of your case, it was somebody that had dropped out, where we'd arranged a placement and then they had dropped out, then what was offered was the departments that we offered to you, so corporate and commercial litigation. But usually you would get a choice. And I think that it's important to know that we can't always guarantee it. It's totally based on where the trainees are sitting in the business at the time, and also which teams have capacity, because we want you to be able to do actual work. There's no good you just coming in and then just sitting there for a week. We want you to actually really experience it. So it's important that there's work for you to do. Thanks for that question. Grace has asked, would you advise connecting with the people you meet on the placement on LinkedIn straight away? So tell me, have you guys added anybody on LinkedIn already?
Yeah, so I've added my host and then another guy that I'm working with who's paralegal, soon-to-be trainee solicitor, but I only did that on Monday evening after spending the whole day working with them. I didn't do that before, even though I knew who they would be. Because I think with LinkedIn, it's usually after I meet someone first for me. I think that's a better way if you've met someone, even if it's just for 10 minutes,
Otherwise
15 minutes.
I think you're too keen.
Yeah.
I don't know, it could work.
Yeah, I haven't yet, but I'm pretty sure I'll add everyone once the week's over, really.
Yeah, I would definitely advise it. And in fact, you've had an email come out today from Amy, haven't you, encouraging you to get a LinkedIn profile if you haven't already, because I think it's a great way to be able to document your experience with us, add on that you've done some work experience at a law firm, and keep track of your career at this early stage. It might be, you know, when you qualify as a solicitor, you don't want all these work experience places listed on there, and that's fine, you can get rid of them then. But when you're starting out, I think it's great, and you can start building up your connections of people that you meet, and why not use them for advice, use them for kind of that mentor-mentee relationship, coaching experience, even after your placement finishes. I think that's really good. Yeah, great that you're getting on that already. Let's see. So Annie has asked, how have you been preparing for your training contract assessment centre or interview during placement? So we've touched on kind of what happens in that process. So have you thought about preparing for the assessment centres yet?
I had a little chat with Gabs, my supervisor / trainee buddy, about it. I mean, hopefully get through to it. But I sort of just took his advice from it, which is just to sort of enjoy the day, and that's one of the biggest things he suggested. Enjoy the day and be confident, because you'll probably do better if you enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Alex? Have you been thinking about it?
Yeah, I have. So I've spoken to my host about it, his experience of it, and he came through as an internal candidate. So as you said, there is a mixture of people there on the assessment centre, so there'll be VAC schemers, direct applicants, and then also internal applicants. So I've been speaking with him about that, and yeah, fingers crossed I get through to the next stage as well. But no, I've sort of been thinking about the types of questions that you might ask. They could be similar to the ones we've already been asked, and also about the day itself, sort of just to relax and things, like as you said, to enjoy it.
I think our presentation on Thursday should be good preparation for it.
Yeah.
As I understand, there's sort of group work and presentation work involved on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. The vacation scheme is designed, or everything is designed to prepare you for the assessment centre or kind of starting a training contract and the skills that you might need. So yeah, exactly. That's what we want to see, some presentation skills from you this week. Give you a bit of a flavour, and then we will be asking to see some presentation skills on the assessment centre as well. So Chris Brown, he's asked, are there any other opportunities for work experience or shadowing on an ad hoc basis? So sorry Chris, there aren't. This is our formal work experience placement, which is paid. The other thing that I would encourage you to do though is to look into insight evenings and open days. So insight evenings run January, February time, and you can apply to those from kind of October, November time this year. And Alex, you came on an insight evening in this office.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find that?
So I've seen some familiar faces this week actually, which has been really good to sort of catch up with. So like your supervisor, I met him at the Insight evening, and he sort of came over and said, I recognise you. But I really liked the Insight evening. It was great. There was presentations from Sam. There was presentations from current trainees, and there was also different talks about. So there was a partner here, Stuart, about his route into law. I remember that, and then. Corporate solicitor who trained here, who's now in London, Jess, she spoke as well, and it was really great because I was able to speak with the trainees, speak with other people that were there. So there were people there who were at the same stage as me, people who were working as paralegals in different firms, and it was really a nice evening to find out more about the firm. That's what encouraged me the most to apply, I would say, to this stage, was actually going along and seeing it in real life, rather than just sort of online.
So I think like work experience is fantastic. It really is great for your CV, shows a commitment to a career in law, gives you that exposure and experience, but it's not the end of the world if you don't get it. And there are other ways to find out about the firm, the culture, the people, and Insight Evenings is definitely one of those ways. And the way we try and run ours is in a pretty relaxed way, and because we think that you can relax and be yourself, and we can really show you who we are. So do consider applying for an Insight Evening. Katab has asked, would you be automatically added to the reserve list if you weren't successful first time around? So not everybody reaches the reserve list. You have to meet the minimum criteria that we're looking for on the application form and then on the video interview to reach a reserve list. So I think that's what you mean, but do ask another question again if you just want to clarify what your question means there, Katab. Thank you. So Aisha has asked, how did you prepare for the video interview? So Jess, would you mind answering this one?
I think for the video interview, I went back through my initial application, to see what I'd mentioned there, because I thought if they've asked me to talk about experiences, I'd try and give a bit more variety over the video interview. And then I think I sort of just jotted down before I started some of my competencies and things like that. So I'd have sort of a crib sheet to go off of before starting the interview. But then once you're in it, you're sort of given a little bit of time, I think, to prepare an answer. But yeah, I think those two main things really.
Yeah. Had you done a video interview before?
Yes, I've done a few before, so I sort of already had an idea of the sorts of things I might say. And I'm not going to lie, my first ever video interview for a different firm was atrocious, but it's definitely one of those things, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and then it's just easier really.
Okay, perfect. Alex, what about you? What did you do to prepare for the video interview?
So it was my first video interview ever, really, and I sort of jotted down some things that I thought were my key attributes, work experience, and I also familiarised myself with the application that I'd made, typed application. So those things really, and I also had post-it notes on the side to try and sort of cue some ideas. But I didn't write out any questions. I maybe should have done more preparation for it, looking back, but I wanted to make the response I gave specific because we weren't given the questions in advance. However, I think I could have prepared more as it didn't go very well. We only got sort of 60 seconds to once we'd been given the question to then answer the question, so I was kind of struggling a bit with that time. But I suppose it would be like it would be in an interview, really, in a real interview. So I made some notes on the side.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip about the post-it notes, because if you're set up with your laptop in front of you ready to film yourself, you've set up so the background is plain, you're dressed appropriately on top at least, but you're looking at your laptop, so you could write some notes about your competencies or experiences you've had and just post those around your laptop or on the wall behind, and it just gives you that reference point. The other thing that people have mentioned to us about video interviews is that they don't like looking at themselves, and we totally get that. So there is an option actually to blur the screen of you out when you're filming yourself. So somebody said, you could stick a post-it note over the top. Either way, I think that preparing for the video interview is hard, but you should try and prepare in the same way that you would for any face-to-face interview. And if you can, practice doing some video interviews. And if you're not able to actually do anything on the software, then just film yourself, set up your laptop or your phone and film yourself talking or answering kind of a competency-based question. So I think that is great practice to just give you that time in front of the camera. And then if you can bear it, then watch yourself back and look, maybe you move on the chair, maybe you swing around, maybe you touch your hair too much, whatever it is, you'll be able to then pick it up really easily by watching yourself back, even though it is a little bit cringy. Okay, great. That's fantastic advice about video interviews. Thank you. So Lizzie has asked, do you feel like Shoosmiths is what you expected so far in terms of culture and working environment? So Alex, if we come to you.
So it's definitely what I expected with culture and working environment. So firstly, the culture is really friendly, everyone's approachable. I think on Legal Cheek, Shoosmiths have got A star for partner approachability, which is great, and that is true in what I've experienced so far. Definitely everyone's really, really friendly and welcoming. And then the office is all open plan, and I think that's the way a lot of firms are moving now, to have an open plan environment. Gone are the days where it would be kind of a partner in the separate office and everyone would be scared to go in. So everyone, with the agile working as well, everyone could be on a different desk each day. So a partner could be sitting next to a paralegal. So both of those things are definitely true in reality, that it's a lovely open plan office and then friendly culture as well.
Jess, is there anything that surprised you about Shoosmiths? Anything that you didn't expect? Good or bad?
I'm trying to think. I think maybe sort of how non-hierarchical it is. I expected it, but it's really been confirmed. And I didn't really know how that would sort of play out in actually a working environment, because in past experience I've had, I felt even where they've said it's been non-hierarchical, you can still sort of feel it a bit in like the way the office is set up, but actually that has sort of surprised me how sort of non-hierarchical and friendly the whole firm is.
Okay, that's great. So just reassuring what we've said on the website, and okay, perfect. So Chris said thanks for the information about the Insight Evenings. Okay, so I think that's all the questions that have come in so far. If you've got another question, do ask us. We are going to, I think, wrap things up. Let me double check if I had any other questions. Oh yeah, so I do. I've got 2 more questions for each of you. So firstly, can we have a tip for somebody who is doing some work experience this year? So Alex.
So if you're doing work experience this year, it would be to make the most out of it. get there early and stay there late. Find out more about the firm, and I don't know really, to sort of make the most out of it by making sort of different connections, so adding people on LinkedIn or building up your personal network, but also working hard and maybe sort of doing further research on the area that you're in, so that you understand things more. Because I think with me, I should have done some work experience when I was at uni. I did some after university and before university, but when I was actually doing my law degree, I didn't. So if you're at university, I think you should do some law work experience during that time, because it really enhances your understanding of the subject you're studying. So since graduating, I would say I've learned a lot more than I did at university in terms of practical skills, but also skills which are applicable and which directly relate to my degree. So definitely, if you're at university, try and get some work experience. And I think that would naturally, complement your degree.
Okay, perfect. And what's your tip, Jess, for people who've got a work experience this year?
I think my top tip would probably be to just don't be afraid to ask questions, because it helps you find out the information you need, first sort of most important thing, and secondly it just shows that you're confident and that you're interested and you actually want to sort of get to know people, whether that's a question about the work they do or about your own work and you need help on it. So I say just don't be afraid to ask questions.
Okay, perfect. And what about, so both of you are in a position where you thought this work experience might not be going ahead, so I'd also like to hear from you, what's a tip for somebody who has not got work experience this year? What else could they be doing?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I think if you've not got work experience this summer, that's fine, because you never know, your time could so easily come at any moment. But in the meantime, I think you should just be thinking about how you can develop your skills outside of work experience and sort of how you can enjoy your time doing that. So that could be volunteering, or maybe you want to go travelling, or maybe just getting a part-time job, or a full-time job, because that will show you how other businesses work and you'll just gain so many skills in that.
Yeah, perfect, thank you.
So yeah, I think you should do all of those things if you have a non-law work experience. So I think you'll be able to get some experience. But if you really want law-related experience and you haven't, I would say just don't give up. Keep emailing people, even if there's not a advertised job. Email their general email, they'll always filter it out or have automatic replies. So don't be disheartened or think you can't. I would just email around any contacts you have as well. Ask. I think if you don't ask, then you don't get it. It's not always going to be a presentable vacancy. So with the VAC scheme I did a few years ago, I just asked for it. And I think just be confident, as Jess said.
And I think, I guess my tip for that would be, if you're struggling to get legal work experience, or you've got some but you want to get some more, then think outside the box. It's not just about finding a vacation scheme. You might be able to find a role doing something else but still within a law firm. So don't forget that there's a HR function, finance teams, information technology teams, reception teams, estates, post room, loads of different types of roles, PA, secretary, whatever. So don't just feel like you're only going to be able to look at the VAC scheme opportunities, look at other things. And law firms do have opportunities that come up for summer work experience that might be just like business administration. So even getting your foot into the door but in a different type of role, I think is a really good way to experience it. So is there anything you guys want to add? Any final tips or pieces of advice?
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for inviting us at short notice.
Thank you.
And, it's been great so far.
Oh, thank you. So join me in thanking Jess and Alex, because it is not easy to come and sit here in front of the camera and be put on the spot, even though they have made it look incredibly easy today. And thank you so much for coming to your work experience at such short notice. If you've got any questions, then you can still type them into the comments. We will, excuse me, we will still come back to you. And thanks for watching.